Remembering Kendrick Castillo.
We all really, really love Kendrick, but to carry on his life's message, we need to be more like him. That's what this world needs for change.
Examining Colorado's need for speed and whether shaming might get people to slow down. A cringe-worthy moment in the race for Denver mayor. We'll play it, and I defy you not to turn away in awkwardness. The fight to preserve a piece of old Denver, what was a rural spot in the big city. And 4 decades after their last title, a high school goes undefeated and wants more. That's next.
Really wish that I met Kendrick Castillo, and I would bet that a lot of you feel the same. Because everything that we have heard about him since the STEM school shooting last week, I mean, kid just sounds like a joy to be around. Dedicated to his passions in life, robotics, Jeeps. Dedicated to his friends, friendly and helpful. Dedicated to his family, which is small but loving. Family, friends, and strangers who gathered today to remember the 18-year-old who rushed the shooter to save his classmates.
Sean and Maria, thank you for sharing your lives, and thank you for sharing Kendrick with us. I don't know if you joined our STEM family or if we joined yours, but we are thankful and proud to be with you as a family, and family is what we need right now.
When we were in the same class, teachers had a love-hate relationship with us. They loved us because of the joy and laughter we brought to the class, but they also hated us because the joy and laughter were apparently distracting to the other students.
He never once was frustrated or impatient. He was never anything other than gracious and kind. And if I had to describe him a certain way, first it would be love. The love for anybody that he met. You know, and I mean anybody, people. He was compassionate. And there's risk in love. There's risk in being hurt. There's risk in rejection. Kendrick knew all of these things, and he never wavered from any of it. If Kendrick was here and he was looking at me, he would want me to have the strength to help everybody heal. Because of our beautiful human being that we had in this world, we're going to get through it. So we love you and thank you for loving our son.
Mentioned that Kendrick Castillo loved Jeeps. Hundreds of them joined his processional today, escorting his hearse to the church. The 16-year-old shooting suspect arrested in connection with the incident is being charged as an adult in the case, and the 18-year-old suspect was formally charged in court today. Both of them are being held without bond. STEM School Highlands Ranch has brought on its second crisis communications expert since the shooting. The charter school is turning to the PR man who guided Chipotle through its nationwide E. coli outbreak. Chris Arnold now works for an international PR firm that deals with crisis communications and reputation management. Tomorrow, we're going to get to see the new rules for oil and gas development in our state. State regulators have been working on guidelines for permits and applications ever since Democrats in the state legislature handed them sweeping new powers. They also force regulators to focus on public health and the environment. It is possible that you don't know that America's best-known civil rights organization, the NAACP, stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. But you are not running to lead a diverse city like Denver. Jamie Gillis is, which led to a cringe-worthy exchange for the mayoral challenger on the Brother Jeff Fard show. Brace yourself. Here is Jamie Gillis, presented without comment.
Do you know about the NAACP? Just clear it up for the people that you know about the NAACP.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What does it mean? National African American.
No.
You're gonna test me on this?
Yeah. It's important because it's our people and we want to know if you're connected to the people. And I know the NAACP is a big branch out here that does, you know, that informs the black
advocacy
vote.
and
okay.
Absolutely.
And just the people want to know, do you know what they do in the NAACP? And you don't have to give any specifics about the name change, but what they stand for, I think, is an important part of the question.
Well, they do advocacy and for the African American community. They talk about policy. They talk about issues. They stand up for civil rights. They work on a number of things.
She kind of saved it by the end, right? I mean, we were kind of...
Can I comment? I know you're not allowed... I better not. But I will say, I was looking at the Twitter feed today. She's trying to smooth things over, right?
The tacos and lowriders event coming up? No, that's a separate event on our calendar.
Okay.
But what she said, she said that she forgot it momentarily. That's what she said, I think. Something like that. Now Marshall's not commenting. Now we're just stuck here. We're paralyzed in awkwardness, kind of like Jamie Gillis was. Okay,
yeah.
To the election. June 4th is the runoff, Marshall Zellner, between Jamie Gillis and Mayor Michael Hancock. Denver voters should have their ballots in hand shortly. And how they voted 2 weeks ago may clue us in on the strategies that we're going to see for the challenger and the incumbent.
Since I know you're looking for a fun way to nerd out and be allowed to comment, may I recommend this heat map provided by Denver Elections. I've tweeted a link to it, and we've got it on the 9 News page as well, so you can play along with us. This shows us what parts of Denver supported which candidates on the May 7th ballot. The blue or green areas are the places that chose Michael Hancock on the most ballots. Let's get this out of the way to start. This is DIA, and it's colored green. DIA is highlighted because there's a precinct at 56 and Tower, not because there are voters who live at DIA. The orange areas, which you'll see closer in a minute, prefer Jamie Gillis. There are a few other shades for Lisa Calderon and Penfield Tate. When you look at it up close, it's a color swatch. But now I'm going to overlay some neighborhoods so you can get a feel for what parts of the city preferred which candidate. To make this a little bit easier, let's show only Michael Hancock's support. In these precincts, Hancock was more popular than the other candidates throughout a good chunk of the city, except near Congress Park, Hilltop, Wash Park, and closer to the southeast. That was where Jamie Gillis had the most support. Lisa Calderon got the most votes in sporadic precincts, and Penfield Tate's popularity was concentrated in Park Hill. Now, I don't run campaigns, I just talk about them, but if I were to run a campaign, this site will really help me guide what I might want to do next. And through the help of Lawrence Gibbs, our director, he found this when we were setting this up. If you click on each precinct, you can find out who got the most votes in that area, as well as who came in second. And I found it interesting. If you go to a place, I found it in southwest Denver here. Michael Hancock, number 1, Lisa Calderon, 2, then Jamie Gillis. So does that mean the voters in those areas, are they going to choose Michael Hancock because he was the most popular overall and the friends are going to talk to each other, or will Lisa Calderon's votes go south to the number 3 vote getter in that area, Jamie Gillis? They could have fun with this map and figure out what is the best strategy.
And that really is going to be the key for Gillis. Can she convince the Calderon and the Tate supporters to come out and vote?
Or does Hancock maybe hope that they stay home and he will get a higher percentage because of a lower turnout?
Did I mention that she has a Tacos and Lowriders event coming up? I did mention that.
You're allowed to comment on that.
I can't comment on that. All right. Thank you, Marshall. Colorado State Patrol is going lights and sirens on people on Twitter these days, lighting them up for speeding with a little public shaming. Speeding, our Steve Stager found, is becoming more and more of an issue.
This tweet got a few shares this week. Colorado State Patrol's Eagle County branch tweeted this photo, a picture of a ticket citing a driver going 106 miles per hour in a 50-mile-per-hour zone. Needless to say, the ticket wasn't all the driver walked away with.
You are not only going to be facing a judge, but we will take you there personally.
Colorado State Patrol has gotten a lot of attention lately for tweets like this. Another trooper in Garfield County locked their radar in at 115 miles per hour for a driver on I-70.
My personal record for finding a speeding violator was 129 miles per hour in a 75 mile per hour zone.
That was a few years before Trooper Josh Lewis started speaking for the Colorado State Patrol.
The reality was he was trying to literally drive cross country. He was trying to get to Florida at the time.
He went to jail instead. Stories like this made us wonder, how often does this happen?
We have seen an increase in terms of excessive speed, so about 12% year to date.
So far this year, 113 drivers have been cited by CSP going 40 miles per hour or more over the speed limit. Overall, speeding tickets are up about 6% year over year. CSP writing nearly 25,000 speeding tickets as of April 30th. If you follow the rules and wish others would too, Lewis says there's something you ought to do.
Call it in safely, but let us know where it's happening so that we can put that within data banks.
Because speeds like that can end up like this. Troopers say this driver was spotted going 130 miles per hour prior to this photo. So that driver survived and has been charged with reckless driving. CSP says the positive reaction to tweets like those tell you that most drivers are law-abiding citizens and just want those reckless folks to be stopped. Kyle.
You are not one of those reckless folks. You don't speed 1 mile per hour over.
You know, I used to admittedly do the 5 over thing. And then I got one of those little insurance thingies on my car. So, and it reports back and it says, if you go more than 5 over, you're docked for speeding. So I started going the speed limit, locking it in on the cruise control, and people blow my doors off.
Yeah.
Like, it's just incredible on the highway.
Yeah, I was like, you think I'm a fool because I've got one of those Alexa things listening in my house. You got Flo from Progressive riding with you.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Not smart, man.
Nope.
All right, thanks, Steve.
When you think the city of Denver, you probably don't think farms. That's why they want to save this place.
When it comes to development, I'm not necessarily against it, but there's some things that, that kind of transcend that.
They haven't been on a winning streak like this since 1979, and they're headed to the championship next.
An unusually quiet week of weather in May and in spring, but it will be changing in a few days. Our high today at 83, way above the average of 71, and we may go even warmer tomorrow. High and mid-level clouds are coming in ahead of a powerful storm digging into the coastline of California, and all of that moisture is heading our way for Friday and for Saturday. Between now and then, southwest winds will bring warm desert air in, and to the north of us, right along this boundary, we'll be tracking some hail-producing storms tomorrow, but just north of the Colorado border. So pretty nice evening on the westerly flow. We've got a couple of high bay storms moving into Nebraska and Kansas, turning severe there for us. Quiet night, a partly cloudy afternoon, and a stray storm along the foothills late in the day. 53 with partly cloudy skies. That's where we start tomorrow morning. Thursday's high at 84. A few thunder showers Friday, slightly cooler, a better chance of rain heading into the first part of next week with mid-50s Monday and Tuesday. And the cloud cover lately has been wonderful. This shot, Highway 128, Kyle, SELEEN, COCKRELLI.
Thank you, Kathy. We've chronicled how the Bonnie Bray Tavern just escaped historic designation, so the owners have the option to demolish it. Clear across town in Park Hill, another building with a lot of history faces the same question: to preserve or demolish? It's no tavern. The drink of choice there was milk.
Late 1800s, like 1890s, a whole lot of sheep running around, a whole lot of cows. For the whole neighborhood of Northeast Park Hill, this whole area was farms, and they had a lot of dairy farms that supplied a lot of the milk, butter, cheese, and stuff like that for folks that lived in Denver. This particular farm here, which was the Quinn Brothers farm, went to about 1920 or so, but this particular house was actually one of 2 buildings that were for the Quinn Brothers Dairy. Somebody notified me, says, well, Walt, the other building's been torn down, so that leaves this one. You always have to be interested in your neighborhood because that's where you live, that's where your kids grow up. And I just caught my eye that there was a little public announcement thing on there, and I stopped to look at it. But what it said, it was up for demolition. For me, that was pretty crazy for a house to not be demolished if it's under something like this, or getting a permit for it, was if it was a landmark. This is the very last farmhouse in all of Northeast Park Hill. That's it. Once it's gone, there is no more connection to that past. You can't save them all. Things have to move on. I said, but this house is like the last, and if it's the last of anything, you got to try to save it. Without a connection to the past, other than something that's written down, that's a loss that you can't get back.
We reached out to the owner of the property, who still lives on that property, just in a different building. She'd only send us a written statement. She said that she wants to improve that property and that she'll meet with Historic Denver to discuss it.
How do you teach a school to be winners again? After 40 years, it took some work.
Their chemistry, their willingness to go to war for each other, they have each other's backs.
But then they tasted victory, and wait till you see what happened next.
Abraham Lincoln High in Denver is hoisting its first baseball championship trophy in 40 years. They went undefeated. You do that after that long a stretch of time, and it is bound to have an impact beyond the trophy case in the record books. Our Sonia Gutierrez has the story.
Sometimes all it takes is one taste of success
I think I grabbed the bat before I could talk.
to want more.
Not only did these guys win the league championship, but they went through the league undefeated.
1, 2, 3,
Take it from the coach who's been coaching high school baseball for 15 seasons, coached at a college level for 4 years, and has a high school state championship under his belt.
I think I've taken more pride in what we did this year than when I won the state championship, just because of who these kids are.
The knuckle slurve curves, huh?
These kids, like Angel Carlos, are sons of immigrants.
My mom actually gave me a surprise, which was a poster that had every picture of every year that I've played baseball.
They have big dreams to play for the major leagues
Rockies, here I come.
and constantly remember why the diamond is so important to them.
Being a first-generation student, being the first in my mom's side of the family that's going to graduate high school, and being the first side of my dad's family that's going to go to college.
Good.
Coach Lee Martin says these students just needed the taste of opportunity to want more.
Getting the opportunities they're starting to see. These kids are now starting to go to college. They're playing baseball, and they're beating Cherry Creek. They're beating Valors of the world. They're showing those guys that with an opportunity, they're better.
Let's go on a hop.
Every single one of these seniors are pursuing higher education, some to keep playing baseball.
But for me, it's more about preparing them for life. It's giving them the confidence that, hey, I don't have to stay here if I want to get out of this place. If I want to go be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a judge, I want to be a baseball coach. I can be anything I want to be. Nothing's holding me back from doing what I want to do because of where I come from. Just got to fight a little harder.
In the case of Abraham Lincoln High School baseball team, all it took was one taste.
They just needed to know that they can do it and taste it. Once they tasted it, it's amazing. They're winners, and they're winners off the field, which is really important to me.
For Next, I'm Sonia Gutierrez.
What a story. What a coach, huh? District playoffs start Saturday. State championships are next week. Your feedback is about something that you did not hear on this program tonight. That's next. We finished with your feedback, and a note came in from Alyssa Maloney, who said, thank you for not saying the school shooters' names or showing any court photos of them while reporting the information tonight. The names and all the photos are not necessary at this point. Alyssa, it's exactly right. Not necessary. It's not about banning them. It's not about censorship. It's about discretion. We can update you on those court cases without potentially giving the suspected shooters the notoriety that they might have sought by having their names and faces everywhere. You want to see them? They're out there. Plenty of places, including our online articles, but there's no reason to repeat them every time here. See you next time.